again, Sherwin.
Sherwin eating a meal.
Hello.
Hello.
I did say hello. In case you missed me. I don't know if I put it in the garbage. Never sat so far away.
Lynn, show me your face. Lori, show me your face.
They did a pretty good pictures too, didn't they? Yeah. Those are good pictures.
Picture the crowd.
Here.
Lara, honey. Hi, Lara. And the top is 87. Okay.
In a bias cup and an ice cream sundae.
Benjamin is playing hangman. There he is, man of the hour.
Wonderful game.
Well, that's what Ben gets in front,
Uncle Larry, man of the hour. Eric.
We looked at so many pictures, I don't want to look at another
So we just took so many pictures at this place.
One was big enough to be able to hold a basketball.
I could hold two.
You can do it.
I could hold two basketballs above my head. You just embarrassed
Here we go.
Okay.
George is our first. Okay.
Everyone play.
Well, I know I speak for Larry. Before I even get started, I want to thank Lynn. What are you doing, Daddy, huh? I want to thank Lynn for asking us all to speak this evening. I really appreciate it. Now, what bums me out is I really was wishing that we could roast Lynn this evening.
Roast Lynn.
Because there's so much incredible material. Now, if you want to hear stories about Lynn, you're going to have to wait till June 18th, 2036, because that's when she turns 80. So we'll have to wait for that point in time. Tonight's all about my dad. But before I get into that, I want to ask, is anybody here on Facebook? James, are you on Facebook?
Larry, no.
If anybody wants any great lovemaking tips, Lynn has some great stuff on Facebook. Sign up. Become Lynn's friend. Great love-making stuff.
It's great stuff for her nephews to read.
Dr. Ruth may have retired, but MedTech Lynn is here to tell you all how to get your freak on. Now, my dad is not as easy to roast. Lara, honey, come on, give a little speech here. My father's not as easy to roast. I mean, he's really a very serious guy, as Larry said. You know, he was probably an adult at the age of 10. Much more mature than I am, much more mature than Larry is. Let me tell you a little bit about what it was like when I was a kid. Dad would come home, he'd pull into the driveway in his big blue Chevy Impala. Do I have to pick you up to get this?
Yeah.
He'd pull into the driveway in his big blue Chevy Impala, and what would he do immediately? He would pull up his Chicago Daily News and sit there and read that for about an hour. And every time you asked him a question, Dad, did the Cubs win today? Uh-huh. Dad, you want to hear about what I did in school? Uh-huh. Dad, was Cesar Cedeno alive in the 15th century? He was a player for the Houston Astros. Uh-huh. That's what Dad did when he got home. Now, his weekends were a little different. He'd wake up in the morning, and Mom would whip him up a big plate of sunny side up eggs.
Yeah.
And at the time, until 1986, as you know, my father smoked.
Yeah.
He would smoke a big cigarette, he'd finish his eggs, and then he'd put out the cigarette in the eggs. Larry, then he'd go in the basement, and he would work his second job, which was called flipping bills. It was a job auditing, I don't know, what was it then?
Freight bills.
Freight bills.
Goes through college.
But you know the 70s, pretty crazy time. The evenings were much different. You know what it was like, swingers, mountains of cocaine everywhere. Like in the 70s. Well, not at 1256 Jill Terrace in Homewood. Mom and Dad would do something really exciting, like retire to the TV room.
Yeah.
And what they would do there is they'd watch something really exciting, like Masterpiece Theater.
Yeah.
And as a little kid, Larry, can you go with Larry?
Yeah.
Go with Larry. And as a little kid, you young people are probably thinking, well, what's the big deal? Just go in another room and watch one of your other flat screen TVs. The other TV for me was a 1964 Zenith black and white television with a broken vertical hole in the basement for watching The Love Boat. And my father never really liked, as Larry said, he never liked a lot of frivolous conversation. So when I said, hey Dad, it's very exciting, Manny Trio just got 3 hits and it drove his batting average about 260, he'd always say the same thing. Don, those bums don't pay my salary. So his interests weren't mine. But anyway, let me take you through a little bit of a chronology of my father's life. He was born August 23rd, 1929. So you were born that same time? Yeah. Same date? Same year?
29, 31.
August 20, there you go, a couple of 29ers there. 23rd, 1929. Now I'm going to skip a little bit, and I'm making this date up. April 10th, 1955, I don't know if that's the right date. He met my mother, Gertrude. I think they were attracted to each other because they both had such tremendously sexy names. Now, that was April 10th, 1955. April 11th, 1955, he spoke these famous words for the first time. Gertrude, I'm hungry. What's for lunch?
That's true.
And then I'll skip the 60s. Sherwin was busy getting stoned like everybody else. Marching on Washington, whatever he was doing. November 16th, 1972, a big date in Sherwin's life. The Detroit chapter of the B'nai B'rith named Detroit Tigers pitcher Mickey Lolich its Sportsman of the Year. Now don't forget, my father didn't care at all about baseball, but all of a sudden, he was very interested. Don, what's Mickey Lolich's ERA? Don, did Mickey Lolich win today? Don, is Mickey Lolich going to make it to the All-Star team? Now, Mickey Lolich had filled a unique spot for my father in the holy trilogy of Jewish baseball players. Hank Greenberg, Sandy Koufax, and now Mickey Lolich. Now, one thing you should have thought about was, and some people have argued with me on this point, that Mickey's not a very common Jewish name. Now, we did have a kid named Mickey Waxler who lived up the street. Maybe Mickey Drexler or that guy from The Gap is Jewish, I don't know. But anyway, one day in 1974, my father came home and he said, Don, you know what? Mickey Lolich actually isn't a Jew. He's a Croatian. His name is Lolich. I guess they just gave him the award. My father never cared about baseball ever again. When Rod Carew, an African American, married a Jewish woman and became the next Jewish baseball player, my father didn't care at all. So that was another great date in my life was May 5th, 1974. Also a date I'm making up because I don't know the exact date, but we were in Calumet City, Illinois, at the River Oaks parking lot. River Oaks is a big shopping center. Sue, I know you've probably been there.
Oh my gosh.
Larry was learning how to drive.
Oh boy.
And my father is incredibly patient when he's teaching anybody how to do anything. Larry, turn this way. Larry, Larry, Larry. Well, Larry turned down the wrong lane, facing the wrong way. And Larry and my father just went nuts. He ripped Larry apart, and Larry burst into tears. Let me tell you, when you're 10 years old, there's nothing greater than seeing your 16-year-old brother cry his eyes out. So, Dad, thank you for that wonderful memory.
I remember that.
Me too. Let me talk now about some of my father's characteristics. I mean, one thing I want to say about him is he's a very, very responsible guy. I can't believe we're here at a wine bar, because Dad is just not a big drinker. A couple nights ago, I saw a picture of him in his apartment, and it's a picture from his days in the Army. And all these guys are sitting there with a beer in their hand, like a Schlitz, one of those tin can Schlitz they had in the mid-50s. And Dad's there holding some kid. Now, I don't know, maybe this is a secret love child nobody knows about. But I think he was the captain's son. That was Dad. Dad, he's just a responsible guy. As far as I know, never looked at other women, never cheated on Mom as far as I know. He had that little crush on Michelle Pfeiffer about 20 years ago. Now, as a little boy, this was terrible because there were never any Playboy magazines or anything in the house. I always had to look at National Geographic. The best was in 1980 when I got to stay with Leo and Marlene Mandelsberg.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you went off on your 25th anniversary cruise. That guy had more Playboy magazines than anybody. That was one of the best weeks of my life. But let me tell you, I mean, he really is a responsible guy, and I think he set the standard for being a good father and being very responsible, and that's what I've tried to do. And Larry, I don't know what the hell you're doing.